So
who do we have? Who, in fact, going from there, who is our most dead athlete that we can come up with here?
So, speaking of very dead athletes.
Very dead athletes.
And people that make me feel very, very small.
That's fair.
We are going to the 6th century BC.
Oh, dang.
To Milo of Croton.
Oh, Milo!
Milo, who is a big boy.
How big we talking?
To say the very least. We don't have any hard numbers, but I will tell you some stories, and you decide.
Okay.
First story about Milo is he is a young man, 15, 16 years old. He decides that he wants to be a wrestler.
Noble profession.
Yeah, and this is like the height of the Olympic Games and everything. So he decides that he wants to be a wrestler. So his dad gives him a calf, right? Little baby cow. And tells him to take this cow, put it on his shoulders, and take it for a walk every day without fail. And Milo does so. Every day,
right.
Throws the calf on his shoulders, takes a walk.
I've been around cows. After about a year, that gets problematic.
Yes. He does this every day, and every day that calf gets a little bit bigger. And Milo gets a little bit bigger. And the calf gets a little bit bigger, and Milo gets a little bit bigger. Until eventually, 2 years later, young Milo is carrying around upwards of 1,000 pounds on his shoulders every day.
It's quite the weighted carry there.
He's a big boy.
Yes, seeing that.
This story may be an exaggeration. It is possible that he started but bailed before the cow got that big. But what we do know for sure is that somewhere between the ages of 17 and 20, he goes to the Olympics and he wins.
Wow.
Wins the Olympic wreath at as young as 17 years old, not older than 20. So already he is a big boy. And it is worth noting that there were no weight divisions.
Oh. So this was... it is hard to imagine a 18-year-old kid going up against all weight divisions.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of these people would have been soldiers, and competing for years. And so, okay.
And just in general, you get stronger. I mean, on a pound-for-pound basis, you get stronger as you get older.
Right.
Right? As you get older, you tend to have less muscle mass, but pound for pound, you're stronger the older you get. This kid is as young as 17 years old, and he's going against really big, really strong guys from all over Greece, and he wins.
Okay.
4 years later, he comes back after competing on the rest of the circuit. He comes back, wins again.
So not a fluke the first time. This guy really is that big and scary.
He really is that big and scary. 4 years later, 28 or so, comes back and wins again.
Did they run it the same way where the Olympics every 4 years?
The Olympics are every 4 years. And you've got other smaller games every 6 months.
Okay. All right. So at this point, he's...
Or no, not every 2 years. Yeah, okay. Not every 6 months. You've got the Olympics every 4 years. And then the year after the Olympics, you have a game, and then 2 years after that, you have one, and then after that, you've got a different one in 2 years. They've got this whole circuit of different Olympics-like games, and he's just going around mopping them all up.
Nice.
Right? By the time that he's in his late 20s, it's hard to find an opponent because people don't want to step into the ring with this man. because he's just getting bigger and bigger and stronger and making more and more of a name for himself. He ends up coming back to the Olympics and winning 6 times.
Holy smokes. So every 4 years. So that's over a period of 24 years.
That's over a period of 24 years without a loss. Without a single loss. And that's including all of the intermediate in-between games that were going on in the intervening years. He doesn't lose once.
Yeah, that's incredibly intimidating.
Yeah. And he's developing this legend around himself.
Yeah.
Because he's gotten big enough that people believe the story of him carrying around a bull on his shoulders. Possibly because he reenacted it at one of these games, throws, according to one source, it was a 4-year-old ox.
Oh.
So fully grown, like, real big animal, upwards of 1,500 pounds. Throwing it on his shoulders, carrying it around the arena, throwing it down, killing it with a single punch, slaughtering it and eating it in front of the crowd.
I'm not sure which of those events I would have found most intimidating.
By some accounts, he ate upwards of 40 pounds of meat and bread a day.
Man, that I'm sorry, Mike. I can't connect to that statistic. I cannot even picture that.
So think of a quarter pounder.
Right, so 160 of those?
160 of those.
Yeah, see, I can't even fathom that.
So 50 some odd per meal, something like that. Again, probably an exaggeration.
But still,
probably.
I know that anytime you get stories that old, it's been turned around 10 ways a Sunday. But just the hard facts of him winning 6 Olympics, like, that's not an exaggeration. That would be like part of their official record. Right?
Yes.
And so, yeah, that all by itself, I think, validates just the freakish strength and size of this guy. Like, even without hearing any other stories, just hearing that somebody won 6 Olympics back to back shows me someone who is a demigod.
Yes. Whether the stories are true or not, which most of them are obviously, definitely have something of the fable about them. Whether they're true or not, the fact that people believed and spread these stories speaks to the legend of the man.
Right.
One story that may very well be true was that him and a bunch of his buddies were hanging out in an old shepherd's shack, drinking and having a good time and hanging out. And the central beam cracks and comes falling in on them.
Oh, dang.
He jumps up, grabs it, and holds it on his shoulders while all of his drunken friends scurry out the front door.
At least as best as drunken friends can.
As drunken friends do, before skittering away and letting it collapse.
Nice.
Other things that he would do to try to get the crowd involved was he had this trick, and apparently, I don't know if he was using 2 hands or if he just had a really giant hand, is that he would take a pomegranate and he would put it in the palm of his hand and invite the crowd to take it from him. Right? By any means necessary, try to get this pomegranate.
I have heard a variation of this story.
Tell me.
You could either try to get it away from him, or you could try to break the pomegranate. If you could even get it to burst at all and let out any juice, So not only did you have people trying to pry his hands apart, but you also have people hammering on the outside of his hands trying to get him to crush the pomegranate.
Yep. And when he was done, he would open his hand and you would have an unbruised pomegranate there as an offering to Hera.
Really?
Yeah, pomegranate was the fruit of Hera, it turns out.
I never even thought about the gods having patron fruits.
So yeah, he would take the thing and let people try, and that was kind of his offering was this is for you, Hera.
An unbruised
When he was done, he would have
pomegranate.
this unbruised pomegranate as an offering to Hera. He liked to stand on a discus and invite groups of people to try to push him off.
See, that one's harder to believe. For physics.
The discuses that they used were bigger than we use, but you're still talking like dinner plate size.
Yeah.
We're not talking like a sled, like those little circular sleds that you get at Walmart. We're not talking that big. We're talking dinner plate or smaller.
Yeah. That one's harder to believe.
Harder to believe,
Especially since,
but
like,
still,
strength doesn't change your center of balance.
mass helps.
Mass helps,
And
certainly.
it seems like he was real big. So, he wins 6 Olympics in a row. He comes back for a 7th. And he goes against a much younger opponent. Remember, he is in his 40s at this point.
That's old man
Remember,
in those times.
started between 17 and 20. This is his 7th Olympic Games. He comes back, makes it all the way to the end, and loses in the finals against a much younger opponent who is using a revolutionary new style of wrestling that he'd never seen before. It was a long Greek name that I cannot remember and did not write down.
Fair enough.
But he wrestles this guy at the finals. He loses. The younger kid gets the throws. Milo is defeated for the first time in 24 years. The crowd swarms the ring, ignoring the
Say,
victor.
To greet their new champion?
No. To congratulate Milo. They throw Milo onto their shoulders and
How?
carry him out of the ring.
See, once again, I don't believe the story.
Remember, it had to be the other athletes. Because remember, real big dude.
Yeah, this guy
Throw
must have
him
been a
onto their
giant.
shoulders and carry him away, leaving their new Olympic champion all alone to celebrate his win.
That's the jerk who beat up Milo.